Chapter 10, Comma Errors. The comma. Independent clauses. A sentence that contains two or more independent clauses is called a compound sentence. When the independent clauses are joined by the conjunction and, but, or, nor, for, or yet, separate the clauses with a comma unless the clauses are very short. Examples. I called and she answered. I called is an independent clause. It can stand by itself as a sentence. And she answered is an independent clause and can stand by itself as a sentence. But since the sentence is short, there are no commas needed. Garrett may work in the garden. That's an independent clause. It can stand alone as a sentence. He may attend the concert is also an independent clause. But this time they are joined by a coordinating conjunction or, so you do need a comma. A good way to remember this is if there is a subject word after the conjunction, you need a comma before the conjunction. No subject, no comma, yes subject, yes comma. Insert a comma before most introductory words, phrases, or clauses that come before the independent clause. Example. In other words, the course is designed to develop basic skills. No, comma, you are not late for this session. When the package arrives, comma, check its contents to make sure nothing is broken. All the words before the comma are introductory words, and you need a comma after them. In a series, insert a comma after each item in a series, like words, phrases, or clauses, except the last item. Examples. I invited Maria, Tyrone, and Joe to the beach party. Zach did not tell us where he would meet us, whom he was with, or when the flight would arrive. I scored a 76, 95, and an 87 on the last three quizzes. Everything that is in red is a series. First we have names, then we have clauses, then we have scores. Each one of them are separated by commas. Do not use commas when each item in the sentence is connected by and, but, over, or nor. Example. We need Vince and George and Sarit to watch the monitors. Neither Don, nor Sue, nor Owen were available. Non-essential elements. Non-essential elements consist of information that is not necessary to the meaning of the sentence. They include appositives, interrupting expressions, and non-restrictive phrases or clauses. Appositives are words or phrases that rename a preceding noun or pronoun. Commas are used because they are not essential to the meaning of the sentence, but provide further identification of the noun or pronoun. Examples. Sue Ross, the president, will preside at the annual meeting next month. We do know if we take out the president and we say Sue Ross will preside at the annual meeting next month, it still makes sense and we know who's going to preside. The president is extra information. Brian Love, a real estate broker, will respond to your question. That is the same thing. It is non-essential. Their first song, while written while they were teenagers, was a tremendous success. Again, the ones in red are non-essential. They're just adding meaning. So they need to be separated by commas. Interrupting expressions. Interrupting expressions, also called parenthetical expressions, include non-essential words or phrases such as furthermore, in addition, however, and of course. Examples. Ruth will, of course, accept your invitation to dinner. See, we have Ruth will accept your dinner invitation. The of course is interrupting, and so you need commas around it. Benner, however, is an exceptionally talented pianist. If you take out the word however, it still makes sense. So therefore, you need commas around the however. Friday's ball game, on the other hand, may attract a lot of students. If you take out on the other hand, it still makes a sentence. non-restrictive elements. Non-essential elements include phrases or clauses that explain or describe the noun or pronoun they modify. However, the information is considered non-essential because it is not necessary in the understanding of the meaning of the sentence. Example, Mr. Klein, who works in the president's office, will address the March meeting. If we take out the words in red, it says Mr. Klein will address the March meeting, and it still makes sense. So those are non-essential words in red. We have been unable to complete the contract, which you had negotiated so successfully. Here we have a complete sentence. We have been unable to complete the contract. The words in red are just added information, and they're non-restrictive. Restrictive phrases. Do not set off restrictive phrases or clauses that are essential to the meaning of the sentence. For example, those people who are registered to vote may cast their ballots in the school board election. If you take out the who are registered to vote, we don't know who may cast their ballots. It says those people may cast their ballots, but they have to be registered to vote, so that is essential information. The Lundgren bid arrived after we made our decision. Well, it's very important to know that it arrived after the decision was made, so that is also restrictive. Consecutive adjectives. Use commas to separate consecutive adjectives that are parallel in construction and not joined by a conjunction. For example, Joyce is a sincere, delightful person. You could say Joyce is a sincere and delightful person, and it would still make sense, but in this case you want to put a comma instead of an and. The tall, handsome man is my husband. Tall and handsome are adjectives, and they are separated by a comma. They are looking for an intelligent, enterprising young person. Again, they are two adjectives put together, separated by a comma. The following sentence does not need a comma. Do you know why? It says she drove a tiny sports car. You can't say she drove a tiny and sports car, so therefore no comma is needed. Quotations. Use commas to set off the exact words of a speaker. Do not set off an indirect quotation. An indirect quotation is a rewording of the person's exact words. Examples. Betty said, "The flowers are beautiful." That is a direct quotation. Betty actually said, "The flowers are beautiful." Jane asked the director whether we should return our music after the concert. She didn't say whether we should return our music after the concert, so that is not a direct quotation, it is indirect. When a direct quotation is broken up into two parts, place a comma after the first part of the quotation, inside the quotation mark, and another before the second part. Example on the class colors, comma, and see how we have it inside the quotation, said Dylan, and this is before the second part, are pink and purple. Amanda stated, before the quotation, "I believe that you made the right decision." Note, comma and periods at the end of a quotation are always placed inside the quotation marks. Remember, this only refers to quotations and not everything that is in quotation marks. For example, you could have a sentence like, "Please mark the package urgent," and put urgent in quotation marks, but the period would be after the quotation marks. This only refers to quotations, not set off things. Dates and addresses. Use commas to set off the year when it follows the month and day, or to separate the weekday from the calendar date. Commas are not required when only the month and year are given, or when military style is used in expressing dates. May 9th, 2018 is the deadline for filing the application. We received a laptop in June 2010. See how we do have a date and a year here, and here we just have a month, and a year. So there's no comma necessary. The perishable goods were shipped by air freight on Thursday, April 15th, 2011. Direct addresses and titles. Use commas to set off a person's name or title when addressing the person directly. Examples. Please reserve a conference room, Noel, for October 14th. Here we're addressing Noel, so you have to put commas around it. Thanks for helping me with my homework, Dad. You're directly addressing Dad, so therefore you need a comma before it. Use commas after names of people when academic and professional titles are used. Do not separate personal titles such as junior, senior, the second, or third unless you know that that individual prefers to do so. Examples. Professor Herons, PhD, is also a certified professional planner. We have a comma after the PhD. Melissa Elsby, CPA, will lead the discussion. Her CPA is her professional title, so you do use a comma. Todd Thompson Jr. will arrive tomorrow. Junior is not a professional title, so therefore you do not put a comma after it. Setting off LTD and INC. Use commas to set off abbreviations or words INC, which is incorporated, and LTD, which is limited, when they follow the names of the company, unless you know the official company name does not use a comma. Examples. We will notify United Movers, Inc. of the change of address. Braniff Limited received an award. Confuse and misuse words. Farther, more distance. Further, to a greater degree, or additional. Ashley can run farther than Chad. Tremaine is further along in math than George. It's and its. ITS is a possessive form of it. IT apostrophe S means it is or it has. The bank will post its return interest rate today. It is, it's my turn. Lay and lie. Lay, to place or set down an object. Lie is to rest or to recline. Lay the pen on the desk. Tina, lie down and rest. That is the end of chapter 10. As you might have noticed, there are several extra credit opportunities in this chapter. Go back and find them. They will help your project grade.